Lakṣmī Tantra, Chapter 20, Explanation of the Mātṛkā. Śakra. I salute thee, O Śakti, who createst, sustainest, and engulfest all, who art the selfhood of Hari, and ultimate jñāna, knowledge itself. O Padmā, through thy grace I have heard the great secret of truth. Now please give me a detailed explanation of the systematic composition of sounds and syllables. Shri. O celestial man, hear the primordial disposition of the path of sound, knowledge of which enables the meditating adept to become one in form with me, sarūpatā. The ultimate absolute, imperishable Brahman, undifferentiating between the polarization of knowledge and agent, appearing in the form of ever-shining light and identical with the all, is termed aham, I am. Ever-shining Shakti is Brahman's I-hood, appearing as inextinguishable light, devoid of polarization of knowledge and its agent. I am the same Shakti, the essence of light and bliss, endowed with perfect equilibrium. When to liberate the jivas, my own Shakti activates merely a ten-millionth of 100,000-billionth fraction of myself. I then automatically evolve out of the great God into śabda-brahman. Consider this unmanifested eternal śabda-brahman as resembling the faint sound produced by harmonic resonance of the strings of a musical instrument. That faint sound is indeed multiplied by numerous other varna, sounds, to sustain creation. As the varna, subtle sound, it represents the continuous flow of sound immanent in all sound. For he who, freed from the five paths of creation and the five sheaths, relies on me alone and perceives truth by favor of the Supreme Soul, śabda-brahman holds the position of anubhuti, the integral intuitive experience of the highest. Śabda-brahman is identical with my fourfold form, the chaturvyuha. During the evolutionary process, represented by the letters A to Sa, Śabda-brahman is characterized by sound, whereas during the involutionary process, represented by the reverse order of sounds from Ha to A, it is characterized by knowledge. That is to say, the process of creation evolving out of Śabda-brahman retains its sonic character, hence the sound A represents śabda-brahman as the sonic origin of creation, whereas in the process of involution or destruction, the ultimate reality remaining after the total dissolution of the creation is represented by the sound Ha, and is in the form of absolute knowledge, in which the identity of śabda-brahman is merged and loses its sonic character. During evolution of the vyuhas, Ha represents dvadashanta, whereas during the involution, akara, A, holds that position. Thus, either of these letters may stand at dvadashanta. In this vyuha aggregate composed of sound, it should be recognized by virtue of jñāna samadhi that Vasudeva and the other deities of the vyuha form exist in the states of vishrama, inertia, udaya, primary creative activity, vyapti, pervasion, and vyakti, manifestation, respectively. At this point, the embodiment and personification of each deity should be recognized as linked up with one of these four states. One should reflect on the eternal God Vasudeva, the eternal primary God Pundarikaksha, represented by the sound A, as denoting Vishrama, inertia. For when dissolution comes, the principles, Sankarshan, etc., will still be resting in Vasudeva. Next, one should reflect on illustrious Sankarshan as reflected by the A and as being the Udaya, primary creative activity. For he is the creative principle behind everything created, the deity who spontaneously started creating the all. One should reflect on illustrious Pradyumna, who, as being the E, underwent expansion. Identical with Trayikarman, the law and order of the universe, he expands and manifests himself as the variegated universe, and that manifestation in turn should be reflected on as Aniruddha, represented by the sound E. At this juncture, all the five Shaktis, the functions of creating the world, sustenance, destruction, delusion, and grace, have become manifest. Thus, in structure, they resemble a staff. Up to Sa, my fourfold nature is connected with the four Vyuha states. In reflecting on the process of evolution, the sound Ha should be placed last in these 12 groups of sounds. However, during the process of Apyaya, involution, Ha should be identified with Vasudeva in Vishrama, the state of inertia, Sa with Sankarshan in Udaya. In the same way, one should reflect on the aksharas up to A as representing the celestial state of the fourfold existence. The two groups of 6 dharanas, characterized by the 12 adhyatmans, letters, serve as steps for the spiritual ascension to the Supreme, which the adept reaches at the end of these 12 steps. This explains the Varna Marga, first systematic arrangement of sounds, which is subtle, represents my fourfold nature as Vyuha, is unrivaled, and has the form of knowledge. The intermediary path has already been indicated. Now hear from me its distinctive feature. Among the 4 dharanas already referred to as reflecting my own form, Va is described as Raga, the Shakti of Aniruddha. Maya, being the other name of Lakṣmī, is represented by La. Vidya, represented by Repha, Ra, is also known as Mahavani. Ya represents Mahakali, the Kriya Shakti, and is known as Vata. The triad form of Brahma, Vishnu, and Rudra, whose wives are Trayi, Gauri, and Shri, is represented by the first part of the subtle Ma. The middle portion of the same represents the Bhoktrikutashta Purusha, the cosmic person, whereas the remainder of that letter represents everyone in the empirical worlds. Thus has been disclosed to you the intermediary system of letters. The sounds from Ha to Sha represents the Pashyanti state of sound, from Va to Ya, the Madhyama state, and from Bha to Ka, the Vaikari state, whereas Ma represents all 3 states together. O slayer of the demon Bala, I shall now explain to you the last method. This third system of Vaikhari, manifested sound, is identified with the prayatnasthana, the seat of effort of speaking, the place in the mouth touched by the tongue in order to produce sound. This is unmistakably revealed through utterance of the manifest sound. This manifest sound Mātṛkā, which indicates to the jivas that are fettered to bodies the right path they should follow, is a projection of Vishnu Shakti. It is said that, like Vishnu, the Mātṛkā also has 50 Shaktis resting in it, making up a garland of sounds. The 12 deities such as Keshava and others associated with the 4 vyuhas of Vasudeva, etc., are the presiding deities of the vowels. Now, hear the names of their Shaktis: Lakṣmī, Kirta, Jaya, and Maya, called the Vyuha Shaktis. Shri, Vāgīshwari, Kanti, Kriya, Shanti, Vibhiti, Ichcha, Priti, Rati, Maya, Dhi, and Mahima are the names of the Shaktis of Keshava, etc., referred to as the vowel Shaktis. Now listen to a description of the deities that reside in Ka, etc. The aforementioned Vibhavas of Vishnu, such as Padmanabha, etc., are the presiding deities of the sounds Ka, etc. Padmanabha, Dhruva, Ananta, Shaktisha, Madhusudana, Vidyadideva, Kapila, Vishvarupa, Vihangama, Krodhatman, Badabhavaktra, Dharma, Vāgīshvara, the god Ekarnavashaya immersed in the general flood, Kurma, the supporter of Patala, the nether regions, Varaha, Narasingha, and Amritaharana, Shripati of celestial form, Kantatman, the bearer of Amrita, Rahujit, Kalanemighna, the mighty Parijatahara, Lokanatha, Shantatman, the powerful Lord Dattatreya, Nyagrodhashayin, the much-loved Ekashringatanu in the form of a dwarf, and Trivikram, pervader of the universe, Nara and Narayana, Hari and also Krishna, Rama with the blazing axe, and the other Rama with the bow, Vedavid, Lord Kalkin, and Lord Patalashayana. The last mentioned group, Rama, etc., also preside over the sounds Ranga, nasalization, Yama, transitional sound before a nasal, Jihwa Muliya, and Upadmaniya, substitutes for the Visarga. Dhi, Tara, Varuni, Shakti, Padmā, Vidya, Sankhya, Vishva, Khaga, Bhu, Go, Lakṣmī, Vāgīshwari, Amrita, Dharani, Chaya, Narasinghi, Sudha, Shri, Kirti, Vishvakama, Ma, Satya, Kanti, Saroruha, Maya, Padmasana, Karva, Vikranti, Narasangbhava, Narayani, Haripriti, Gandhari, Kashyapi, Vaidehi, Vedavidya, Padmini, Nagashayani. All these goddesses, together with the deities presiding over the Mātṛkā, who are instrumental in the functioning of the phenomenal world, such as Sri Kanta, Ananda, Sukshma, etc., Shaktis such as Lambodari, etc., the Vinayakas, Durgas, Kshetreshas, Mātṛkas, all the conventional deities belonging to the Vedic system, as well as others belonging to the Buddhist and Jaina systems, form part of me and should be regarded as the Shaktis of the sounds ka, etc. As hungry children resort to their mother, so do all these deities resort to the goddess Mātṛkā. This Mātṛkā is the source of all mantras, the origin of all sciences, and the soil from which all the principles, all sages, and all knowledge are born.